and welcome to World Literature. I know it's kind of strange being online for back to school night, but we know with the pandemic and everything that's happening around our world right now, this is our safest way to get information out to you. I wanted to point out my email address here. And really, this is the best way to get a hold of me. I do teach all 6 periods. I do not have a prep period. So emailing me allows me to write back to you, even if it's during class, while still keeping our conversation private. If we speak on the phone and I've got a room full of students, that doesn't feel as comfortable to me. And so this is the best way to check in with me regarding your students' progress. We do use Google Classroom in our classroom, but we use it in a little bit of a different way from many of the teachers on campus right now, which is that we use Google Classroom as a space where students can keep track of what's happening in class. They can access extra copies of assignments and things like that. But Google Classroom is not a place where we're going to be turning our work in. So we turn our work in on pen and paper, but Google Classroom is there just so you as the parent can see what we're doing in class and when we're doing it. The reason I wanted to point this out is because sometimes if you go onto your students' Google Classroom to check their assignments for the week, for example, you may notice that on Google Classroom it might say that they're missing several assignments. Please do not panic. I've instructed the students not to click turn in on Google Classroom if they turn the assignment in on hard copy. So just because it looks missing on Google Classroom does not mean your child is missing the assignment. So the best way to keep track of your student's grade is on Parent Connect, or you can also email me at any time and I'd be happy to take a look and let you know what your student is or is not missing. The little comic strip for you. This is the end of summer vacation. We can see the students are disappointed and the teachers are maybe not that enthused, but the parents are pumped to send their kids back to school. Uh, so I hope that you are feeling comfortable and happy about your student being back at Buchanan High School. I know that we're happy to have them. So we do focus on the Common Core here, and that includes reading and writing, obviously, but we also are going to be working with speaking and listening this year. Since we've been on distance learning for a while, we haven't had as much opportunity for our students to do presentations, to work in partners and groups and things like that. And we'll be practicing some of those speaking and listening skills this year in that way. We'll also be working on our language development. We do this through our grammar and vocabulary programs. And so we are building vocabulary as we read our way through our core texts and also as we develop with our grammar and our writing skills. And definitely my job and my goal is to make sure that your student is ready for all of these skills at the college level by the time they leave my classroom. These are the texts that we'll be reading this year. We are currently reading 1984, which I'll talk about a little bit more here in a few minutes. But we're reading 1984. We're also reading a play called A Doll's House. We'll be reading a story called The Sound of Waves, and we'll be reading a story called The Night Circus. In addition to these 4 core texts that we'll be reading, we'll also be reading some short stories, some poetry, and of course, plenty of nonfiction. For our COVID expectations, we are kind of right now just following the protocols that I'm sure you're very familiar with through Buchanan. But the first one is that we make sure that we keep our masks on throughout class and also whenever we're indoors, even including when we're in the hallways during passing periods. The proper way for the students to wear their mask is covering their nose to their chin. And we do follow this rule quite strictly in our classroom. I also have hand sanitizer placed in multiple locations within the classroom for the students to use whenever they need it. It is recommended that students stay 6 feet apart when they are unmasked and eating, even while outdoors. So that's just another safety protocol for your student. And we will strictly adhere to these protocols, mostly because really we just want to make sure your students stay safe. So here are some supplies that we need. Obviously, we need your student to show up with their brain and their positive attitude, just ready to work each day. I have been so impressed with my classes. We were a little concerned how our students going to behave in the classroom after being out of the classroom for a while. But I've been pleasantly surprised, and I just really want to say that your students are doing fantastic. Their behavior is great, their attitudes are great. It's almost just like everyone's so excited to be back together and back at school in person. So I'm really enjoying having your students, and that part of class is going fantastic. Since we are using mostly pen and paper kind of turn in for our assignments, a binder for your student would be great. This helps them keep track of their handouts, keep everything organized. If they have a planner, this is also really helpful since classes rotate and we have evens on, on Wednesdays and Fridays and odds on Tuesdays and Thursdays. A planner really can help your student keep track of what's due when and help them not to miss out on important assignments. We do have an SSR component of our class, and as a result, your student needs to have their independent reading novel with them every day. We also write journals. We do at least one journal a week. So a college rule notebook is recommended. This is where students write their journals and then they turn their notebooks in when I collect journals up for grading. Pens and pencils. You'd be surprised how often kids really do show up to class without writing materials or without the resources that they need. I do, of course, have extra in the classroom that I'm happy to provide, but these are just some basic materials that really help your student be successful in class. Finally, our textbook or whatever novel we're reading at the time. Like I said, we're currently reading 1984, which means that your student can actually take their textbook and put it on a bookshelf at home somewhere safe. And then in one of our future units, when we get ready to use the textbook, they'll be notified and they can bring it to school at that time. So basically every day, as long as they have their SSR book, as well as whatever novel we're currently reading, they should be good. A little bit about me. For my education, I did graduate from Buchanan. And then I got my bachelor's in English at Fresno State, and I did get my single subject credential in English as well. I'm currently a student at National University, getting my master's in composition and rhetoric. For my first 2 years of teaching, I taught at Washington Union High School, which is in Fresno. It's technically in Easton. And then in 2005, I was hired to come over and teach at Buchanan. I was so excited to be returning to the high school from which I graduated. Buchanan is definitely my home. It's where I want to be for my teaching career, and I love it there. So I hope your students can feel that. I've had the opportunity to teach almost every English class on campus, and I have also taught all grade levels from 9th all the way through 12th. This is helpful for me because it helps me to see how the grade levels kind of build on each other and really where your students should be now that they're seniors in high school. This year I'm actually teaching freshmen and seniors. It's kind of nice because I have the bookends of the school. I've got the youngest and the oldest. So it's really neat to have that range, and I really enjoy that mix of students. Outside of the classroom, I am the advisor for Campus Life. It is a Christian club. We meet every Friday in my classroom. Lunch is provided, so if your student needs a safe place to come eat lunch on Fridays, this is a great place to be. I'm also in the process of starting a new club, the Kickboxing Club, and when I have that up and running, your students are welcome to join that as well. Finally, I help with National Honor Society. I'm one of the advisors for that organization. We are getting ready to start our application window, and I know a lot of seniors like to apply for that. So feel free to reach out for questions related to National Honor Society and how to apply. I do have 3 children. My oldest, Taylor, is 12. She just started 7th grade at Alta Sierra. She's loving it. And then my daughter Rylan is 9, and my son Levi, he's 8. Rylan's in 4th grade, and Levi's in 3rd grade at Garfield Elementary. I'm currently working on my master's in rhetoric and composition, and I will be done in December, and I cannot wait. Here are a few pictures of me with my children. This is Taylor here. Here's Rylan, and there's Levi. I wanted to talk a little bit about the novel we're currently reading, which is 1984. So Orwell's 1984 presents a critique of a futuristic society in which the government has too much control over its citizens. Through close reading and analysis of Orwell's text, we will draw comparisons between real-life dictatorships from history, as well as with our own society throughout its history. 1984 is a great book. It's a cool book because it actually becomes more relevant as the decades pass. As we see more different government societies throughout history, we're able to draw more and more comparisons as time goes by. So this is a really cool book for us to be reading with the students right now, and I'm excited to kind of hit them with this challenge. It is a very challenging book, so we're reading most of it together. It is available for free online, so feel free to check it out for yourself if you want to take a look. But it's a pretty challenging book, and I really like to challenge the students right out of the gate so that they know that we're going to learn this year. So that's pretty much all the information that I have, but I wanted to let you know that I'm just really looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward to working with your students. I'm looking forward to working with you as parents. And I just hope that your seniors will take the opportunity to get involved this year and make the most of their last year here at Buchanan. My goal is to help them get ready for college, and I hope that we have a great year. Thank you.